Do you want to get into BCG, or are you a management consulting enthusiast? And do you want to know what were the 6 secret hacks and the 6th interview process that I went through, because of which I was able to crack my BCG interview offer? Hi, if you're new here, I'm on a chai break, and whenever I'm on a chai break, I'm shooting these videos for all of you. And on my channel, I talk about all things consulting, all things MBA, all things career advice, and many a times lifestyle about my life here in US. So feel free to hit on the subscribe and the notification button so that you get notified whenever I'm doing cheers with all of you on chai, and you get to learn from the insightful experiences and get to advance your career. So it's a very personal video, and I'm going to be sharing the interview hacks and the process that I went through when I was hired at BCG. First and foremost, of course, BCG interviews are candidate-led rounds instead of interviewer-led rounds. If you are not aware what are interviewer-led rounds and what are candidate-led rounds, interview-led rounds is when the viewer actually maneuver and navigate the steps of your interview, and you just solve one small problem within the entire grander scheme of things. And candidate-led rounds are largely when there is a case prompt, and after giving you the case prompt, the partner will just allow you to actually navigate your case journey and see how you perform. And if we were to divide this video, stay tuned till the end, because towards the end I will actually share the 3 exact case rounds that were shown to me, and you could perhaps prepare for them if you're preparing for BCG as well. So the first step was, of course, around resume shortlist and resume. Getting hired from my resume. I had made a separate video around what are the key things that BCG, Mckinsey, Bain look when they want to hire you. So feel free to check that video out as well. Which brings me towards the second stage, which is largely around the first impression. If you have been shortlisted from BCG, then of course your first impression will matter. First impression with your buddy, first impression with the case partner, and first impression in your interview as well. They're looking for people who are confident. They're largely looking for people who could be put up in front of the client on day one. And for any reason, if you are someone who doesn't come across as very confident person in the interview, then that could act as a negative feedback or a negative point for you. I look forward to hearing your views around what kind of impressions can you land on other interviewers. So feel free to put it in the comment section. Are you someone who is fairly confident or underconfident? If I see a lot of people who struggle with confidence in the first impression, then I can consider making a separate video around that. Which brings me towards the third section, which is largely around the buddy program. If you get a shortlist from Mckinsey, BCG and Bain, then they actually map you with a buddy, and the buddy is actually an already consultant in BCG, Mckinsey. He or she will actually practice cases with you, will actually help you with an advice and certain hacks around how to solve cases. Because I had been at BCG and I had been a buddy to few juniors from ISB as well, I understand the kind of impressions and the kind of things or the skills we are looking for, which is the problem solving skills. Can you converse with the other person? What kind of structured thinking that you do with the buddy? Now, largely the buddy program is actually non-evaluative. Having said this, you will not be surprised if eventually BCG comes back to you and asks you about the overall performance of the candidates. Once again, buddy program is largely non-evaluative, which brings me towards the fourth section of my BCG interview process, which is the community session and the networking session with the BCG case partners. And in fact, within the networking session, it was the women at BCG networking section that has session. I'm using those words interchangeably. Sorry, my bad. Session which had taken place, which actually landed a very strong impression upon me about BCG, because of which that was one of the key reasons why I chose BCG over Mckinsey when I had both my offers. And of course, you get invited for a little informal wine parties, not chai parties, with partners, where you get to ask questions, where you get to land impressions as well. So that could also be a very pivotal point during your entire hiring process. Which brings us towards the most important section perhaps for which you have been waiting, which is the case interview rounds. I largely applied a lot of my business acumen and thinking that I had developed during my business journey, MBA journey at ISB, and the case resources that I used was largely around the buddy programs or the buddies that the cases that they threw at us, and of course the ISP casebook. And the 3 specific cases that were given to me during my BCG interview process was, the first one was actually by a principal at BCG who is now a partner, and she has taught at my education venture as well. The case was that you are working for the principal secretary of Orissa. If you're a non-Indian and watching this video, Orissa is actually a state down south, and you're struggling with the ranking of your public sector school education. Your public sector and the government schools have actually ranked amongst the bottom quartile amongst all the states. How would you go about attacking this problem, and what will be the solution? So that was my round number 1. And round number 2 was largely around an FMCG, and especially a toothpaste case. So your client was actually witnessing a declining market share of the toothpaste. You had to diagnose the problem and also come up with the solution. So that was my second round. By the end of my second round, I was almost given a hint that I have an offer from BCG, and the round 3 was mere formality. But of course, I took it very seriously as well. The round 3 was by a senior partner, because I had told him in my final round 3 that I intend to become a startup founder one day after my BCG stint. And of course, now I'm a full-time CEO, and he wanted to know about what kind of culture, what kind of curriculum can ISB impart if someone wants to become a startup founder. One thing led to another, and he evaluated my thinking around, if there is 100% equity and if there are 5 founders, how would you rationally go about dividing the equity amongst those 5 founders? What are the parameters will you gauge? I was very lucky because I had taken a startup course in my ISB journey, whereby I had mathematically also learned how do you actually liquidate equity from one funding round to the next. That was one of the key data points I used, and I used multiple other data points. At BCG, of course, because I've been involved later in the stages to shortlist candidates from ISB, and now understand what are the parameters that BCG use to actually shortlist people. And we at BCG have been very cognizant. If someone is rejected, we have given feedback also. So you're given feedback if you're not selected at BCG. Till date, even as a BCG alum, I'm very much connected to the North American practice here, and with a lot of senior partners in the India practice. Which brings me towards the last section of this video, which is largely around the Q&A. Q&A is a beautiful segue for you in the rounds to actually showcase your intellectual curiosity, and if you have any questions about the firm, and to actually check if BCG will be a great firm for you as well. And I've always maintained, if you like my videos, if you want more help to actually get into management consulting and product management, feel free to check out Impact Fellowship at my education venture. We are trained by actually mentors from BCG, Mckinsey and Bain, where you're taught by masterclass speakers who are chairmen, partners and CEOs at McKinsey, BCG and Bain. You're given interview case practice with Schrodinger and Trinity at globalgovernance-initiative.org. And if you like this video, feel free to hit on the like button and share it with your friends so that they get to know about all the cool topics that we are talking here. With that, stay healthy, stay happy, and be kind to each other. I'll take your leave. I'll see you soon on another chai break. With that, take care and stay healthy again. Bye-bye.